Sunshine Wobblins, it's Bernadette, and I'm here with your Pick a Card Tarot reading for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. First things first, thank you so much for those of you that have pledged the Kickstarter. We are just killing it, and we're getting really close to that first stretch goal that will unlock the book about domestic cats, and then we got to go to domestic dogs. And it's all great. And if you haven't heard yet, Sandra Ingerman, has written the foreword to the book. I'm like, I'm over the moon. I can't even believe it. And I just thank you all so much. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please get on over to gatheringofmystics.com. I'll be giving free classes there right after the Kickstarter. And just I'm going to do a study group there once a week. For those of you that are interested in learning tarot and being psychic mediums and all that kind of thing. And so I'll have all of that information here within the next couple of days. I'll put it in the comments below. But let's go ahead and get started with the reading. But I just had to thank you so much for pledging the Kickstarter. It's a dream come true, and you all are going to love this book. You're just going to love it. So it's been a while, I think, since we had this kind of like connect the dots, like super deep, really philosophical kind of reading, but that's what's happened today. And so the Seven of Cups, which is the Beaver card in my deck, the deck that I read from, the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck, and it's I'm chewing the card and I'm talking about Beaver. I was shown by Spirit that, and for those of you that have the deck, you know that you can read this deck. You don't have to pay any attention to the tarot meanings at all, the tarot card meanings at all. You can just pay attention to the animals, or if you are feeling like, if you're doing intuitive tarot and you're like feeling in the reading that the beaver isn't really part of it, but the actual, just the actual tarot card, even though they relate in their symbolism and they each, add to each other's depth and whatnot in symbolism, it's up to you to decide. And most people just use both. So, but here's what I was told this morning. So for Seven of Cups inverted, this is not about the beaver really at all. It's about the Seven of Cups, which if you take a look at the traditional meanings in the Rider-Waite deck, which is what my deck is based on, the first thing that I was led to is that in the major arcana, the 7 card is the Chariot card. So when you're taking a look at that, that number 7, even though it's it's not the Chariot card, it's the 7 of Cups card inverted, it's still going to be a call about how the number 7 is going to symbolize work that has to be completed, great tasks that are ahead of you, callings. And if you, in a calling is like, you're supposed to be doing something, you're supposed to be on this path, but you're not quite seeing it clearly, or you might be a little bit afraid to step on it because you're afraid, well, I want to commit to this, but I'm not sure about myself. That number 7 and that Chariot card is really going to call you to know what 7s are really all about, which is about the constancy or the consistency in the drive of the charioteer, who's just completely unwavering in his goal. And that's what 7s are all about, when you go throughout the tarot. And so let's say you consider yourself an esoteric scholar, right? And you're the person that understands that the divine number 7 is about law and order and wisdom and balance and all of, there's a reason they call it lucky number 7, right? The Kabbalists call this card the Lord of Illusory Success. And what that means is this. When you take a look at all of those cups, they're golden chalices and they're filled and they're full of your dreams and they're full of, this and that. But, I just went through this myself, which is, I was really surprised this card showed up today, which is I do a lot of things in a lot of different spaces and places. And I've been feeling lately like I really need to, and I was talking to a dear friend of mine who's just become somewhat of a guru for me. This person is just, their wisdom, oh my gosh, is just, oh my gosh. And they said, well, really what happens is you go wide, but there are only a few things that you go really deep on. Is there anything else, really, what do you want? What do you want to go deeper on? I was like, well, that's easy. And there's the mundane life, right? There's the physical. you know, you've got to pay your bills and you got to think about retirement. You got to think about college for your kids and, you know, feeding your cats and your dogs and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the stuff that you're called to do. That's where your dreams are. And that's what the, you know, the Seven of Cups is ruled by the zodiac sign of Scorpio. And it might seem like I'm going on this long journey to get back to this one thing. And let me just tell you what the one thing is. And then we're going to figure out how you're going to get there. Because how you get to that one thing is very different than how other people will get to that one thing. But that one thing is, what is your calling? What are you determined to do in this world? What are you determined to do for yourself? What are you determined to do for other people? And that's really where it all starts. So my answer to what I wanted to do a deeper dive on was, well, of course, I want to help people, you know, heal, and I want to help them, you know, learn divination and all those kinds of things for the purposes of self-actualization, for the purposes of, you know, I hate to say the words personal development, but that's a thing. I hate to say, you know, personal empowerment, but it's a thing. But really the term is self-actualization, so that you come to know you're capable of so much more than anything that you're thinking of. I mean, you know, listen, even people that are like, I can do anything I want to do. That's true. They can. Lots because of that attitude, right? But they'll come a time. Everybody has a day when they wonk up against something and go, ugh, and they feel fearful or they feel unconfident or unworthy or, you know, whatever those things are. But when you see the Seven of Cups, it's asking you to see beyond all of the possibilities, because even if you can do all of these different things, what do you want to do at the best of your ability for a very long time? What can you make that kind of commitment to? What can you show that kind of love, to deep dive into it, that where you go is just deeper and richer and deeper and richer, and so are able to offer whatever sector you work in, the best of the best of the best. If I use medical a lot because my whole family's in the medical business. Well, before they retired or died, they were in the medical business. And so I grew up around that a lot, right? And I remember my mom, she was a physical therapist for a lot of years. And my grandma was the head nurse at Jackson Memorial in Miami. And, you know, they always used to talk about what the difference between real healers were and real nurses, because the real nurses would get to know every single component of whatever. I mean, even down to what bandage brands were the best for this wound because of yak, 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 even down to just the detail. It's all about the details. And so really what you're being called to today is to take a very good look and work with the archetype of the Seven of Cups inverted, because that's gonna be about when those cups with all your dreams and your fantasies, you start to pour them upside down, and that's when you have your choice. And it is a choice. You're pouring those dreams and fantasies out into the physical plane. And that means it's up to you. Are you going to be overwhelmed and run from them? Are you just going to let those dreams and those aspirations dissipate? Are you going to look at them and go, huh, you know what I could do with that? Let me give you, for instance. So I know y'all love my stories. So I am sprucing up my back porch because I love it. But it needs sprucing up. And I have some really beautiful rattan, a set that I got from Pier 1, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. Perfect condition, really well made, but it's dark brown, like if you were going to do a Tommy Bahama house. I love dark brown, but not on my porch because it's all gypsy boho, and I'll show you all one day. And I was sitting there looking at it, and then here's what Bernadette did. She got on the internet and started looking for colorful rattan furniture. And this year, y'all, great googly moogly, Grandin Road. If y'all don't know Grandin Road, they've got the cutest set of pink that look, the ottoman looks like a moon, a crescent moon, and that's what they call it. And I was like, I'm buying those, until I saw how much they were, and I was like, I'm not buying those. So I said, What am I going to do? And then I spied a can of spray paint on I'm spray painting some other stuff to go in my yard. I'm very good when I spray paint though. I've got this whole thing that I do that I put myself in and shut myself in this so the fumes don't go out in the world, wear my mask and everything. So, I looked at myself in the mirror because I went, it's a long story. I went to get some iced tea, blah, blah, blah. I got a mirror in here. Anyway, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you are thick, aren't you, Carter? And I call myself Carter that's my maiden name, because my mom used to say things like that. You are thick, aren't you, Carter? And I said, yes, I am. Because here I've sat with this furniture, not loving the color of it, loving the design of it, and loving how really well put this furniture is, but not really liking the color when the answer was right in front of me the whole time. Spray paint it. How hard is that? It's not. So by a week from now, I'm going to have the most beautiful, bright teal colored that are going to go with my orange and yellow cushions and all this. Here's what this has to do with you. Okay. Your life is nothing but a set of Pure One or any kind of rattan furniture. I don't care if it's ratty-tatty falling apart that you've had from the 50s. Those are the best kind. I don't care what it is. That's all it is. Whatever decision you got to make ain't nothing but a hunk of rattan furniture that you don't like the color of that you want to spray paint. You've got to manifest it in the real world though. And what that means is you don't allow people to tear you down because you're a dreamer. You don't allow yourself to tear you down because you're a dreamer, because the Seven of Cups is all about dreams. The question then comes back to, what are you called to do? What is the thing you want to do? And it's not like you have to pick one thing and stay with it for the rest of your life. But like me, you know, Lordy y'all, I grew up like, if a person grew up in a blender, you know, like their self-esteem and their self-worth and their, you know, their self-love was put in a blender, like one of those bullet things, you know, that was me. And then when the mean girls at school were done with it, they just poured it on the ground. They didn't bother to pour it in a cup and put it in the fridge. They just poured it on the ground. But anyway, so it's really, who do you want to be and what do you want to achieve with your life? And then also, what do you want to offer the world? So the thing is this card calls for you to keep your feet firmly on the ground. Now, I make a lot of jokes, but let me tell you something. I've owned my own business for umpteen dumpity ump years. It ain't easy. I've had a couple businesses crash and fail. I've had a couple businesses do incredibly well. And I've had businesses that, you know, well, so I talk like I've had a lot of businesses. I've only had 3, but within those, you know, you have them crash and fail, you build them back up. You know, if you own your own business, you know how hard it is. But really, is it that hard if you love what you do? And if you are showing up authentically and you are taking the deep dive into whatever you're offering people, whatever you're doing within your business, and you're finding out every nook and cranny so there are no illusions, and you love the subject so much that you would work at it all the time, because you're not really working, you're creating. Again, what are you going to do with these cups that have dumped upside down in front of you? What are you going to do with these dreams? What are you going to do with these achievements? Who do you want to be? And are you going to continue to allow yourself and other people to hold you back? And you may not think you're being held back, but if you sit and you say, because I hear people say this every single day, well, if I were younger, I would do this. If I were in a different situation, I would do that. If I didn't have to do this, I would do that. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. And I find, by and large, that people have made choices that steer them away from self-actualization. They steer themselves away from their self-actualization. Let me tell you what I mean. For many reasons, I never had children, for many reasons. And I take a look at women who have chosen, Lordy be, who have chosen to be moms. And it irks the ever-loving you-know-what out of me when a woman says, well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Oh my gosh, I just want to thunk her on her little pumpkin head. Because does she not understand who she is and what she is in this world? Holy cow. Likewise, I want to bop on their little, little bunny foo-foo head. Other women who sneer at women who are just stay-at-home moms. I'm like, really? I got news for you. Raising children is harder than being a CEO. I don't care of what bigger company. It's way harder. So it's whatever you want to be. I know I'm so behind this project. You don't even know. I know a person that once upon a time wanted to own a gourmet ice cream truck. Before gourmet, like Cold Stone Creamery and Marble Slab, before all of that came out, and then yogurt where you can put all your own junk in it, she was a visionary and she didn't do it. Why? She has kids. I've got a husband. I've got a job. I've got a this. That was 30 years ago. To this day, she still talks about it. There was something about that dream that just tickled her to no end, and she would have made a bajillion dollars. Well, I don't know about a bajillion dollars, but she could have done very well with it. And I still think something. So if any one of y'all out there have ever wanted to own an ice cream truck, think of what a mobile, especially during this pandemic, think of what a mobile ice cream truck where you had all that junk in you could put your Oreos or your gummies or whatever in that. Think about that. But, or gourmet desserts also, like these ginormous brownies and croissants. And okay, you get the point. Here's the bottom line, y'all. As I fall off my desk. Here's the bottom line. When we take this dive into the number sevens and in the 7 of Cups, I want to bring up one more thing. When you take a look at the number 7 and you start to kind of follow it down the way in tarot, what you find is that the charioteer utilizes septenary, I can never say this word, 7 forces of the cosmos to move that chariot ahead with his mind, which means he's drawing down the number 7, which is very interesting to me because I'm a Blavatsky fan. Helena Blavatsky, if you guys have ever read her stuff, she's pretty amazing. And she's got a book that refers to the 7 principles of man, which is the key to theosophy. And this is where we start going down that really deep dive into really what is this card all about? Really, what does it mean for you? There's a calling. We're still working on abundance, just so you know. The animal allies are like, every single thing you're going to say to the wild pack for the next couple 2-3 weeks, and be clear, it has nothing to do with my Kickstarter, because I asked, I'm like, okay, you've got to show me a sign that I'm not just bringing my energy in to be, the Kickstarter be part of it. It is not. It's literally that this moment in time for y'all, as a collective, as a wild bunch, the wild ones, wild pack, there's something going on that if I could stand all y'all in a room and take a poll, I bet you a dime to a donut, 90% of you have money on the brain, way past what it would normally be. You've got money on the brain. Abundance, money, prosperity, you've got it on the brain. So when you start to want to move forward with the rest of your week, with moving into the rest of your month, you're being asked to take a deeper dive into everything. It's not enough just to see a hawk and go, oh, a hawk means this. It's not enough to see just this number and go, oh, this number means this. You've got to dive. How would you ever have known, unless you are, you study this stuff the way I do, that, Helena Blavatsky has a book called The Key to Theosophy that has to do with 7 and has to do with this and has to do with the spirit self, the spiritual soul, the higher manas, the desire body, the vital principle, the astral body, the physical body, because in that teaching, there are 7 layers to the body, right? I could go on for a long time. There are 7 colors in a rainbow. Are you being asked to see that? So not to confuse you and not to spin you, but for each of you, self-actualization and working with this 7 of Cups, which is a humongous energy right now, is going to call for you to just sit a little bit and really think about what you really, really want. What are you being called toward? Who do you want to be? Then draw on the strength of the number 7, draw on the strength of the archetype of the 7 of cups inverted. Do your research. A lot of you are really into gods and goddesses. See which gods and goddesses go on, with what Greek myths go on with that. And that's where you're going to find your answer. So I know that was a lot. That's a lot to unpack, but take some time. You've got plenty of time to unpack it. Thank you all very much again for pledging my Kickstarter. If you haven't heard and you've pledged the Kickstarter, I'm giving away a free 2-hour class on Saturday, June 7th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The link is below to sign up for the newsletter that'll keep reminding you and get you all the information. For anybody who wants some business advice or to, but very specifically around Kickstarter, because you guys have just been so good to me, but I've got a ton of emails, everybody asking, how do you do this? How do you do that? I saw you running, I'm like, okay, let me just offer a free class and we'll do it that way. And I'm going to blab everything that you can't find online because people try to hide. I don't know. Why do people try to hide stuff? It's so stupid. There's so much abundance available for everybody. But that's it. So also subscribe to my YouTube channel, join Gathering of Mystics, pick up your copy, just do it all. Do it all. And anyway, what's the most important thing in the entire whole wide world? To do good for animals and to stay wild.